So,
I'll take one, Bess, if you got an extra.
okay. This might be missing the last page, but it was no change. No, they're going to go up there, aren't they? Yeah. Okay, we're going to get started. Can everyone hear? All righty. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Public Services Committee to deal with the towing ordinance. This is kind of continuation from right before the pandemic. We were working on modernizing, getting this code up to date, and it's gone through a lot of different hands for input. And this opportunity right now is for the industry to kind of weigh in and give us their thoughts on this language. This is the draft, and so there's still room for some changes. And the idea is that this committee is very anxious, though, to get this to the full council. And on this committee is myself as chair, Bess Rich, and also CJ Small and Joel Daves. And with us is Fred Richardson. I think he was here, and he's in the room at least. And then if the table, and we'll start with the left-hand side to my left, if they'll introduce themselves for the record.
Assistant Chief Roy Hodge, Mobile Police Department.
Wanda Rahman, attorney for the Mobile Police Department.
James Barber, Director of Public Safety.
Lawrence Batiste, Chief of Police.
Oh, okay. Lisa Lambert, City Clerk.
Chris Arledge, Council Attorney.
Carrie Kamanis, attorney.
Thank you. Thank you very much for being here. It's very much appreciated by the council. I think the idea, rather than everyone has hopefully seen this before sitting down today, we try to, and I just got verification that any towing company that had a business license, an active business license, received the word where they could know about this meeting and also where to get the link to either print it out or to read it at a computer. So that was something that we had pledged to do, and it was very thorough. And I believe it was anywhere from 45 to 50 different companies that have access to towing in our city through a business permit. So we're anxious to hear from the industry today, and so we're going to make that the first move that this committee takes. And if someone wants to raise their hand and then go up to the podium up above to address us, that would be welcomed. And I'm going to assume that there are some information or clarification or just whatever's on your mind. This is your opportunity.
All right, hey, Bess.
Beg pardon?
Is it anything that you all opposed
We'll
to
see.
that you want to let us know?
Okay, why don't you go up there, introduce yourself. Yeah, it doesn't have to be, I mean, this is your chance to tell us your feedback on the language as it's written out. And you can refer to the page that you want us to look at or the concept. That will be helpful to us.
All right.
You need your name and your address and your business would be good at this one.
My name is Rodney Scrimpsher. I'm the owner of Sims Towing and Recovery. My address is 4340 Rayburn Road, 8 Mile, Alabama. I've got one question here. It's probably just something y'all need to clear up. In the fees on page 17,
Okay.
it says we can charge $150 for the tow.
Okay.
And then
Okay, let us get to your page so we're all on it, and then you can show us exactly what line that you're talking about.
On page 17,
yes, sir.
Okay?
fees.
It says the minimum fees for record service listed above.
Yes.
Maximum.
Number 3.
Number 3 says
Right,
maximum.
well, number 3, the maximum.
Yes.
Okay. There, let's see where. I know we talked about in the meetings before. Here, y'all got in here where this oil dry and all is included in our 150 fee if it raises to that. So we're not allowed to charge oil dry like we was talking about.
I don't know how you want us to handle this.
If you can answer,
yes.
perfect.
Okay.
Yes, I think the person who's got the most knowledge would be
Okay.
great.
Mobile PD would like the tow truck companies to be able to get reimbursed for the oil dry.
Okay.
We know that the law requires them to have at least a minimum of 10 pounds, so we would like them to be reimbursed for having the 10 pounds. The other thing under Section 3, which says 3A, which says any credit card processing fees or transaction fees, we think it would be fair, MPD thinks it would be fair that they be allowed to charge a 3% credit card processing fee, because the fees are going to be anywhere from 3% to 4.5%. It may not seem like a lot if it's $50, but if their tow is $300, $400, they're having to eat that credit card processing fee. So
And so your recommendation is to put that on as something they could reimburse for and set
Yes.
it at 3%?
yes, we would like it to be a maximum of 3%, because that's generally what credit card companies ask, or what they charge. And of course, we had some discussions on the oil dry amount, how much it would cost. I think the last discussion, it was like $5 for a 10-pound bag. So as long as they can document they used oil dry or whatever, we have no problem with giving them that.
Okay, so you're
a
saying
fee.
the flat fee and then adding these as additional things they could receipt for. Do I have that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you're saying the 3% would be for credit card processing fee or transaction?
right.
And oil and dry would be reimbursed at $5? For
Per 10 da-
For
per
per
10-pound
10-pound
bag.
bag, okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am, that
Okay.
does.
Okay,
May I ask,
On page 15, under fees, rates, and charges, like on A, it says towing of a vehicle disabled and it has 10,000 pounds. Should be 150. If we tow an F-250 pickup truck, which most of them have over 10,000 pounds, we would be able to charge the fee for B by this ordinance, right?
It should be, because it said 10,000 pounds or less. You're
Okay.
saying over 10,000 pounds.
I think we're looking up the gross weight of a 3/4 ton truck.
We'll be able to answer that in just a second. We're looking up the actual gross ton weight, and then we'll be able to calculate and tell you exactly.
Madam Chairman,
yes.
I think our attorney had wanted to say something
Yes.
before the next one. While they're looking it up, he can go ahead and.
how much oil dry is typically used? Does it need to be like any kind of limit on that? I don't have any idea how much you would use.
It's actually unknown and depends on the type and severity of the accident. You could have an accident where you lose transmission fluid and oil in large quantities and could take a lot of oil dry. It is just mainly dependent on the severity of the accident. It varies from one to the other. Some you use a lot, some you use none. Okay.
So there's no limit, is what you're saying? You're just going to say for every 10-pound bag, they get $5 reimbursed?
Yes, ma'am. That's what we think is fair, or whatever the cost of the oil dry is. They shouldn't be out any money because we're requiring them to carry something. That's the way we're looking
Okay.
at it. Yes.
Are you still calculating too?
Yes, ma'am. 10,000 pounds is the gross weight of a Ford F-250 truck, the curb weight is around 7,200 pounds. So if it were sitting empty, that's what it would weigh.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am. The other question I got is number F under that same thing, writing, two-axle vehicle weighing 10,000 pound or less, we can charge $75 for the first hour. Does that mean that we go out here and the car's flipped upside down in the middle of the road and we have to flip it back over on its tires? Are we able to charge the 150 base rate plus this $75?
Yes.
Okay.
The answer was yes on that.
Oh, that's for writing it up, so, yeah, okay, I get that. So no changes then, it's just explained, correct?
Madam President, while we're on that page, there's a recommendation by the police department to define what winching is, or the better, and that's on the same page, and it's
Okay,
subsection I. Did y'all write it that different?
It's page 16,
oh, the next page, okay.
and if you would look under I, J, and K.
Okay,
Now, under K, it defines winching, and it says winching shall not include any incidental or routine winching necessary to load any vehicle onto the wrecker. The police department thinks it would be even better to put the definition of winching in the beginning of the ordinance to define winching altogether, so there'll be no different interpretation. So everybody who's using the services, they would know exactly what winching
Yeah.
means.
Okay.
And we would suggest that if we do include a definition, okay, just need to move where, under K, it says, note, in parentheses, all the way down, we could use that definition and just put it to,
alphabetical order,
yeah, put it back into the definitions
Definition.
at the
Okay.
beginning of the document.
okay.
Good idea.
And,
Under section, we would put it under the section 63.5, which are definitions.
right. That's good. And they're all in alphabetical order, if I'm looking at it right. Okay. And that language then is adequate for everyone understanding and being
Absolutely. For a
knowledgeable.
layperson to understand what winching is,
Okay.
this gives a basic definition. And it means more than just, if I have my car here and the tow truck comes behind my car, winching does not mean that they just hook up to my vehicle and put it onto the truck. Winching means you've got to do something over and above just pulling it. You've got to get it from a location, out of a ditch, somewhere, something that you would do over and above just actually towing my vehicle,
That's right, in order to get access to it.
to get access to it.
So it
takes
doesn't
a little bit more.
include routine or incidental.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
so if it's off in a ditch or something and you got to pull it back up to the road
That's winching.
before you unload it, that's where this winching fee would come in versus just backing up to it in the middle of the road and sucking it up on the bed of your rollback.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's why we want to put the definition
Right.
in the beginning of the ordinance, so there'll be no mistake and no confusion as to what winching means.
Yeah, so everyone's got that definition. That's excellent. Okay.
Ms. Rich,
Yes.
while we're at it, we might as well put in a definition for what writing is as well, which is right above the winching ones.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, because they go into the different axles and the different weights, but it's all going to have a definition. What will that definition be for writing?
That's a good question, but in my mind, it's flipping it over, or, you know, if it's turned upside down or something like that. I'm sure we can find something that, and the industry may be able to explain it, put a definition as well.
Something like putting it in the configuration it needs to be in to drive, to make it operable, putting it back on four wheels so that it could,
So can we put writing over and definitions?
yes, sir.
Okay,
think-
so we're going to add that so everybody's also knows exactly what that is, since there's different costs based on different sides. That was a good watch for. Okay, so we're going to put writing. I guess it's just getting it either so that it could be towed or if it is
Right.
drivable.
Just getting
Right?
it back
is
on its
back on
wheels. It's off
and
its
it-
side.
Correct. Yeah,
Getting it right side up.
right, exactly. Okay, that's good. All right. All right.
The other thing I got, I don't know where it would be in here. I see where y'all got assumption of liabilities on page 10. You know, sometimes I drive a hook truck and I get out on the scene. Well, a mobile officer say, "What are you doing with that truck?" Then they try to tell us how to do our job. At some point, how do we get them to let us do our job? Because if we say something, some of them get attitudes with us. You know, this is what we do every day. How do we get to the point to where when they say, "All right, that's the car you getting," they let us do what we do no matter what truck we're in?
I'm not really sure what he's saying. They're trying to tell you how to winch it or how to,
They're trying to tell us how to do it.
that's something we can address internally.
That would be operational.
Okay.
And if you can express that and articulate it maybe in writing to the department, then they could handle it with their personnel.
Okay. And then I just got one other general question.
Sure.
I'm not on your city rotation, and we do a lot of AAA calls. The other day, I picked up a call at Airport in McGregor, sitting in the middle of the road. I'm hooked to the car. A mobile officer comes up behind us, and he wanted to know that our office gets clearance. I'm like, I assume they did. I'm in a truck. He calls. He said they didn't get clearance, and then the ROs won't give us clearance to tow that car because I'm not on your rotation. How can I solve that?
You know, again, that has nothing to do with the rotation. This ordinance deals with our rotation records and then their contract records. And so if AAA or a customer has called them and made some arrangements, we should not be intervening in that.
Even if it's on a public street, was it a public street?
Yeah, it was right in the turning lane there at McGregor and Airport.
Yeah, that's considered a private tow to us.
Okay.
That's not.
So his information being told he couldn't do it.
No, I had to turn the car loose and leave the scene.
It's an internal.
And it happens
is that
all
an
the time,
operation?
and I call RO, and I try to explain it to them, and it goes nowhere. They tell me to call Dennis Johnson. I've left him tons of messages, and he never calls me back.
You know, again, if these specific incidents,
Right.
if they'll put them in writing, we can address that with whatever officer that was, but that's a private tow.
And
It's
the
also a
officer should have been aware to let it.
That it's a private tow.
Let it
It's a private tow.
transpire.
I mean, you tell them there's a caveat. There is a caveat,
There is.
You got to put
excuse
your
me,
mask back on.
He does?
Thank you, I didn't see.
Madam, can I just make one point?
Sure.
There is a caveat. If the vehicle is stopped in traffic and it's on a public street,
Yeah.
and the police officer sees it, yes, he's going to come up to that tow truck, and he should have just let the tow truck company that had it already hooked up get it out of the way, because what you're trying to do is make sure that the traffic is not impeded.
Right.
But normally, police officers are going to stop if it's like on Airport Boulevard, a major intersection, and there's a wreck. But if the private tow has already got the vehicle, we shouldn't be intervening.
That's right.
Yeah, that was.
So if he had asked, the officer should have let the record company take that
That's more of
vehicle.
an educational for your personnel.
Okay, that's all I got.
Okay, is there anyone else?
Any other recommendations from PD?
On page 8,
Okay,
under facilities section, and this is just housekeeping for us. Under facilities, 63-17, under 3,
okay,
it says at least one person must be available from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. to conduct business with customers or department members. We'd like to add Monday through Friday, so they know exactly the days that they should be available at that location, or be
Okay.
available to conduct the business.
so that means a citizen on a weekend couldn't make a contact?
Well, they can call them, but we're requiring them to be in that business on Monday through Friday from 8 to
Okay.
5 p.m. And Chief, if you would address that?
Yeah, Councilwoman, I also believe there is a provision in here for after-hours tow. So we were
Okay.
trying to set provisions for normal hours of operation.
Okay.
So anything with after hours, and there's a provision in the ordinance for after-hours
Okay, so the Monday through Friday on this one is the 8 a.m. to 5, and those are considered standard hours and days of the week. Okay.
Just to ask a question, if it's impossible for a citizen to get their car back on the weekends, should they still be billed storage on weekends? Because after the first 24 hours, we're allowing storage to accrue.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be charged.
So should we not say in there that they'll not be charged storage if they are closed on the weekends? Now, it's up to them. If they want to open on the weekends, I think it's perfectly fine if a customer can pick up their car.
Oh, I
I
see
just-
what you're saying. But if it's closed, then there shouldn't be a charge for hosting the car?
If it's
the
impossible for
vehicle?
me to pick up the car, how can I accrue another
Right.
$50 worth of storage? And so,
Right.
but if they're going to operate Monday through Friday, it seems to me that's the only times that they should be able to accrue storage on a vehicle. Chief, what do you?
Well, I think what you're saying makes absolute sense. We were just trying to make sure we set some normal hours of operation, because in the ordinance, it's clear that,
I see.
for after hours.
Yeah,
after
no,
hours.
I think that's real. Would you like to address that if you'll go up and introduce yourself?
Yeah, we can start with these issues here. I feel like if it's in storage, it's in storage. The customary
You
hours
need
are
to
Monday
leave your
through.
mask on.
Leave it on?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
If it's in storage, it is in storage. Customary hours is Monday through Friday. Most people don't do much of anything on the weekends. Things don't open on the weekends.
Yeah. Can you
storage is
give your
storage.
name and address for the record?
I couldn't hear you.
Name and address
Oh,
for
I'm
the
sorry.
record.
Ron Blackman is 5781 Three Notch Road.
Okay, thank you.
And, but that would be my take on the storage, would be that it is in storage. Customary hours is Monday through Friday. We try to release anytime we can, but insurance companies don't work Mondays, Fridays and Saturdays. Salvage auctions don't work Saturday and Sunday. So those are just days that no one else is at work. You can't release it anyway, unless the owner itself was coming to get it, which would be rarely. It's a wrecked car.
Right.
And then I have other stuff on that. Y'all want to answer to that? Or you want me
No,
to go
keep
for it?
going, yeah.
Okay, yeah, on the facility, I'm trying to find out, a facility would mean a place of business, I would assume, the way that you're going to store cars. It says up here that the operator shall maintain significant space to accommodate storage, and you're going to start storage with a storage lot, but then it says you can turn around and share with space with anyone else, which pretty much you can still go work out of your truck and be in a record business. That's not quite a business. Business is a place where you conduct business, like a place to store your cars, a place to release your cars. It
He's on
includes a lot of,
facilities.
it also has to have insurance and everything else to
Eight,
make sure these cars are taken care of if there is a problem. I just need, I'd like to have more clarification on it. I mean, can I go buy a business license and call it anything I want, put a mailbox out there, and I'm in business?
No, you have to have a location for, it can be, it
Well, it
could be
doesn't have to
something that you
be-
work with somebody to get that space, but you can't do tow unless you have it.
I think the way I read that, it was
I think
overflow
zoning don't
of-
allow two businesses to be together like that anyway.
I think the way I read it, it allowed for overflow, by agreement, isn't that what?
I think Chris, Chris, can you address this? Can you address this portion, please?
It's gonna be page 8, start 6317, storage facility would be number 1. Then it tells about the other one, but it means you're sharing it, you're sharing facility with anybody, which means, you could just go buy a license in 10 different names, put it at the same location, and heck, you're in good shape there. Your closest aren't gonna be no good, but the rotations and everything else should be good.
So you think that each person who has a towing license and wants to tow from the public right-of-way should have its own storage location?
Well, you should have your own business. If you are a business, operation, you need to have all this as part of an operation.
Right, well, that's what I'm trying to get to the fine point. You're talking about the place to house the vehicle after it's been removed. You want that to be, that has to be a separate spot.
It has to be your own spot, where your business
that's what
is,
I'm
where
saying.
you conduct business.
Okay.
And I know you do your towing on the street, that's fine, but you have to
Right.
have an
No,
office.
I get
Your
that. It's about
location of
storage.
You have to have your own storage, you have to have your own business license, each insurance company, you have to have insurance on the property that these cars are stored at.
Okay.
But none of this is ever checked anyway, I don't believe. I've never been checked, and I've been here, 15 years probably. A lot of guys been there a lot longer than I
Could be a
have.
different day after we get this on the books.
Could I ask what the gentleman's specific recommendation is?
I think well, I won't speak for him. Did
I
you
didn't
hear
hear
his
you.
question? You wanna read
What is your specific recommendation with respect to this?
Recommendation is if you're gonna have a business, one location is gonna be the location where you conduct it, you have your office there. Your records leave from there to go do a rec, or not necessarily all the time, because you're not always there. You might be down the street getting a call or getting something to drink and it rings and then you go. But definitely you're gonna bring it back to there to be stored, okay? But you don't want, 3 buddies to go together and get one little lot, one little anything, and they're 3 separate companies, yet they're not 3 separate companies. They're one company. They have one location. They have one place to store cars. They have one place to release cars.
I think
It's just not really a business. A business. I could run it from an office building the way you have it set up, because I could just share a storage with someone else, and you should be releasing cars where you're picking it up at.
What,
I think there
Madam-
is a description for place of business. If you,
Madam Chairman?
We might be able to tighten this up on this section a little bit. And Mr. Arledge tell me, I think the intent of this section 1 is to say that wherever the operator's place of business is located, he is to bring all of his towed vehicles back to his facility. But in the event he does not have adequate storage for some reason, he's towed all these vehicles back and he doesn't have adequate storage because there's an overflow, then he can take it somewhere else with a written agreement. But we can tighten that up. We can work on that section. And Mr. Arledge, can you give us your take on this, or Ms. Kamanis?
That is correct, and I think that was written, I'm gonna let Carrie weigh in if she wants to. Somebody showed up to one of the prior hearings and said, well, I can borrow space from so-and-so, and so what about me, so, isn't that right?
Yes,
I
but
don't
I
see-
think we were trying to address the fact that on occasion, there may be a need to share storage space when there is an overflow.
that's different though.
However, every wrecker company is supposed to have a bona fide place of business where they operate, where they maintain business hours.
We can also amend this, change this, and we can have it read that, you tow to your place of business, and all the vehicles need to be at your place of business. And that just means that there will be, if there's an overflow, if you don't have an extra lot, then you can't tow that vehicle.
That makes sense.
You decline to tow that vehicle.
can't-
Once you meet your maximum limit on your lot, then you can't tow another vehicle to that lot. And then that way, you don't have to get into the issue of, sharing with someone,
Yeah.
getting into another written agreement with someone. If you say my lot can handle 50 cars, then you don't tow more than 50 cars to that lot.
Right.
Madam
Yeah.
President, I guess you could just strike sentence 2 of that paragraph.
About having the overflow.
Says, storage for these vehicles will be at the operator's place of business, provided that if this location does not have an adequate storage facility, the wrecker business may enter into a written agreement. If that whole sentence was struck,
Yeah, then it's not.
then it
enough.
just leaves that it, has to be at their place of
Yeah.
business.
And the place of business is pretty well clear.
Yes, it
Number
is.
16 on page 3. Now, you do have maintained business hours 8 to 5. Do you want to put in Monday through Friday on that too?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Okay, to go back to 6317-1. So what we're deciding is that that paragraph will read in its entirety. Storage for these vehicles will be at the operator's place of business, period.
Period. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And we strike the rest of that sentence.
What, the purpose that what we're doing is you've got people that have 1 or 2 wreckers they have 5 place of businesses, but they don't even have but 1 or 2 workers, 1 or 2 wreckers. You can't have 5 place of business. It's just you know, you have to have enough of wreckers to run it. And I mean, I know plenty of companies that have several place of business, but they run each place of business insured separately, with a truck that's to that place of business. You know, someone's there at all times to do things like that.
Which would be
There's
good.
several companies that do that. There's several companies that doesn't. You know, they really don't have anything invested in their business at all.
Well, this should take care of it
Hopefully.
as far as where they can.
I had one more thing in here. I know there's a lot more I have, but one more that
Okay.
I'm aware of. I don't know where it's at. I reckon,
Ron, can I interrupt you before we get
Yes.
on to something else?
Sure.
Let's go to section 2 under the facilities. Since we're going to strike everything except, on number 1, except the first sentence, storage for these
What
vehicles will
page is
be.
that? What
We're still on
page?
page 8,
Oh, okay.
under the facilities. Under subsection 2, then we need to also strike including shared facilities on that second sentence. So it will read, "The storage lots shall be well lit and enclosed by a locked gate. Each record company must place on the exterior of its business location a clearly visible sign indicating the company name, telephone number, and business hours." And we will delete including shared facilities.
Okay. That's good. All right, you want to say what?
yeah, there was some more. I didn't read this whole thing today. I haven't, but I did read it several months ago, and I had like lots of questions, but I couldn't get a hold of anyone. There's areas in here that's like an officer on scene can think that I'm doing something wrong, and he could just take me off the scene and call someone else. We're being judged by people that have no clue what we're doing. There are I don't know many officers out there that know, you know, really what we're doing when we're towing. We're using stuff that we know and tools that we have to make things happen. It doesn't seem like it should happen that way, but it does.
Is there a specific section he's referring to?
I don't know this section,
let me-
and I was looking for it, but I haven't found it.
Madam Chairman,
It may
Yes.
be striked already.
Madam Chairman,
Go.
it is clear to me that what Director Barber and the rest of them are saying, if there are incidents that you believe that the behavior of the police officer is inappropriate, report it. Else it's going to keep on happening.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was inappropriate. I'm just saying that when we come out to do our job, we know what we're doing. We're professionals, and if we see, even from another, you know, I'm out here and I'm with another company, I see something wrong, I'll go help him out so he don't mess up and hurt himself. But you know, to make it to where an officer can say, I don't like you, and they can just send you on the way to your next guy to come or whatever.
But that's inappropriate. It seems to me you're saying that should be inappropriate.
I think it would be
And
inappropriate.
this is what the director said. Turn him in or her in.
That won't be a problem. Who do we, my last question, I reckon, would be communication with the police department. We work with the police department every day. I'm doing something. Okay, but yet I can't get a hold to them. I can't get a hold of council members. I have got a hold of you, definitely. You do call me back. But I've left 15 messages from Miss Rich and never had a call. Emails and all. I've left, with Mr. Ramon a couple of weeks ago, I left several emails and messages with her. And I went to see Mr. Hodge and left messages for Hodge, and I've still had nothing. No one's communicated back.
Like the chief.
But we did handle it. Well, Chief was really busy right there. Everyone's busy. I understand they're
He's
busy.
supposed to be busy.
We're busy too.
But
I am.
I'm trying to find where you're talking about where it says they have the liberty to let
I
you
haven't,
know.
it could have already been stricken from the last time. This was
Yeah.
before the pandemic came
It
in
talks
and,
about, if you look at page 14,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't mind, you can see where it talks about if the operator does not arrive on the scene on time, or if public health, safety, and welfare necessitates more expeditious action, the department reserves the right to request services of the next wrecker company. But that's not, you're saying you're concerned that you get on the site
well,
and
if
you're
you just
told
had,
to
I mean, I've
leave?
never had a situation or known of a situation where an officer didn't like somebody and sent them down a road. But it says that it will allow it. And it's, at some point, it said something about possible fines if we were doing
Let me
this or doing
interrupt.
that.
It's section 6310, authority at scene, page 6. Page 6, section 6310, authority at scene.
Okay, let's look it over.
I got a different.
The authority shall have the authority at the scene shall be the police officer or the fire department emergency incident commander. The authority shall have the ultimate, the officer shall have the ultimate authority to direct all activities concerning the removal of vehicles and any cleanups, et cetera, et cetera. Is that what you're referring to, Mr. Walker?
No, ma'am, I would think that would be, that's what his specialty is. He knows what he's doing on the scene. It's just, when it comes to just the tow truck driver.
Madam President, did I
operator of
understand
the
correctly that that's never happened to him?
It's never happened to anyone I've ever heard of.
Then why are we dealing with hypotheticals?
It was written, but it'd be better to find it before I approached it, I guess. I haven't found it yet, and it could have been stricken, so it could be just wasted talk.
This is a new ordinance.
I know, it's the same one we looked at, though, several months back, right?
No, there
no.
have been changes even.
That's what I'm
since
saying.
then.
It could have been
Right.
taken out, or that could have been something that was dissolved. I reckon that's about what I have at this moment.
Okay, well,
Madam
But I
President,
would like to have someone to communicate with, if we do need to communicate with the city.
it wouldn't be with the council once the
No,
ordinance
no,
goes.
the council was just on the ordinance itself,
Yes,
but
we.
a long time ago.
We don't enforce it, and the oversight then happens operational, which would be right with the police department or the mayor of Mobile. That would be the recourse.
Yeah, well, that's where we try to handle things, because sometimes it comes up and there's no clarification on these new laws the state has issued in place. And that may be a problem too, is the charge for that. When we put something through the portal and we put it through the newspapers and we send certified mail and all that, there's a fees for that. The city's saying you can't charge those fees. The state's saying pass the fee on. Jason Stewart is the only known source I know that does all this here portal stuff that each car has to be placed in after a couple of days. And the process ran on as an abandoned car.
But isn't that when you're trying to then get the car and get it under your own ownership?
No, ma'am, that's when any car is towed, that car should be put in the portal and within 2 days. Within 5 days, it has to have certified mail and be listed in the newspaper.
I'd like to address that.
Where are we on this? I don't know where we
We're
are
supposed
in
to
the
be
ordinance.
discussing this ordinance. We
Well,
spent the last half
That's
hour
not
talking
listed in
about
the
things
ordinance,
that
but it's
don't
gonna
have
be an
anything to do
issue
with
to the
this.
ordinance.
We did it.
It's not here, but it needs to be in here. It needs to be addressed because it's part of what's towing
Let's
is.
hear from legal, from the police.
Okay.
Because they're a
There-
big part of this.
There was an issue with
portal fees.
portal fees, and some of the tow companies were charging $25 admin fees. We took the portal fee out of this ordinance because when we looked at the unclaimed abandoned vehicle portal fee for the state of Alabama, the only information that has to be in the portal fee, first of all, to enter your vehicle in there, it's free of charge. The only information that the person is entering is the VIN number, make and model, body style, year, color, whether the vehicle was stolen, the tag, and the state from the tag, the reporter's name, who's putting the information in, your email address, and your phone number, and the physical location of the vehicle. This is all this form is. So if you're keeping records when you tow the vehicle, you're going to automatically have a slip that says where you towed the vehicle, make, model, VIN number, and the law says that after the vehicle has been there 5 days, then you put it into the portal. And that's just trying to get that vehicle off of your lot because nobody came in to claim the vehicle. So after 5 days, you can go into the portal because now you're in that process of trying to get that vehicle for
Under
yourself.
Yeah, that's what I thought we.
That's
That's why we
that's
took
not
out the
quite what
portal
the-
thing because it's such a simple process. It, as I just told you, I'll be glad to give you the copy of it. That's all you're entering is the information on the vehicle.
And we have
And
raised,
that's off the tow form that you've actually, you're going to keep for your records.
and what's the increase from the old ordinance that's the standard fee now? Is it, didn't we,
We took it out.
no, I'm talking about, didn't we increase what they could reimburse for?
I think I can get it, Rodney.
Standard tow original. I think that's what she's asking.
Yeah, what were they able to get for a tow? And we've increased it.
125.
25.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So some of that stuff is we knew there were additional things that they might want to do. Until I learned that it was a way that
Well,
they were getting the car, which then if they can sell it or whatever, or scrap it and get money for it, that's not something coming to the city.
Yeah, the bottom line is, the portal fee, there is no fee. It's
Okay.
a free site.
Hey, I got you.
think what,
Counsel?
But if we increase doing the business with you, then we kind of absorb some of those additional costs.
Can I explain to you on that's, all of that's incorrect. All that information from, all that is incorrect. In order to do the portal, you have 2 days, okay? And then after those 2 days, you need, by the 5th day, you need to send out what's called a notice of possession, okay? But in order to do that, you've got to pay the state, I don't know, say $5 to $15, depending on where you get your information, to tell you who owns the car and who's the lien holder. Okay, then you take that information and then you send out what's called a notice of possession, which means you certify a mail to any owner, restaurant, or lien holder. Has to be separate certified mail. It's like $8 per envelope. And then you got to pay somebody to do all this too. But if you go to Jason Stewart to do it, it's $150. Okay, that's the customary fee for this to be done, is $150. That's the process. It ain't just putting it in a portal. Putting it in a portal is nothing. If you just put it in the portal, that was the situation that I was trying to get a hold of Ms. Ramon and Hodge about a couple of weeks ago, is you cannot charge any storage if it's not in there by 5 days. If your notice of possession is not out, it's not complete. You have to read the whole law. What she's holding in her hand is the law, but you got to read the whole thing. And it's not just put something in a portal. That would be simple and easy and to everybody's benefit, but it's not. I would rather not charge the $150 and not have to do the paperwork. In the portal is easy. Taking it out of the portal is easy after they pick it up. But it's the people you have to pay for the notice of possession. You got to pay to know where to send it to. Then the state also sends out letters based on what you put in the computer. It's a whole lot more to that than that. It's not.
What do you recommend then? What do you recommend?
Well, the recommend is a state fee. The city has no control over it to begin with. The state's who's enforcing it. We don't want to do it, but that's the customary charge for doing all that's $150. That covers the paying the state for the information, paying the newspaper to publicize it for you 2 different weeks, all the certified mail, and then a person to do it.
Let me address that.
Yeah, please.
The company, the record company, puts the information in the portal. All of the fees he's talking about is when that company is trying to get ownership of that vehicle so that they can sell it. All of those fees are going to be passed on to the person who buys the vehicle. They're going to be charged for registering, to get in the vehicle, to show that they have no liens on the vehicle. So that's not our
We'll
issue
recoup that, in other words.
when a record company,
Yeah.
when a person doesn't pick up that vehicle and they decide they want to take ownership and they're trying to sell that vehicle, yes, they have to go through additional steps, but they're going to recoup all of those expenses because when they
sale.
sell the vehicle, they're going to add that into the price of the vehicle. The only thing that the city is involved in is the actual towing of the vehicle and and the storage of the vehicle. And we're saying that the law says that after 5 days, they put it in the portal. That's all we want them to do, is just not to charge people for the initial putting the information in the portal, because it's free of charge of doing that. And then any excess that they get, that money goes to the county. The city does not get any of the proceeds from
No.
the sales.
No, it's strictly.
It's
up
strictly
for
county
profit,
revenue.
And it's profit for the
Yes.
entity or for the towing company, that because they remove something from the public street, which is a public service, so we realize that, because you're making the streets clear, but then it becomes your private side when you're looking to get a purchase
Well,
of it, or ownership so that you can sell it.
You're missing it all. Okay, that's part of the thing. If you just put it in the portal and you don't never send out a notice of possession, I hope you don't charge storage fees. Because if you do, you're not entitled to them. It simply says that in the law. It's written right there. You aren't entitled to any charge beyond the original tow if you do not do everything, the process. But at any rate, it's not a city issue. It's a state issue.
Are you, is that clear?
It's true, it's a state issue. We have no authority over what the state requires the companies to do in order to be able to sell that vehicle that's been left
He's saying that
on
he
their
can't
lot.
charge the storage fees if it goes over 5 days. Is that true?
That is correct.
Unless they comply with state law, right?
Yeah.
We just dealt with it at city impound.
But if the people hadn't picked up their vehicle in 10 days, they're not going to pick it up in 20 days, and that's why you have the ability to sell that vehicle.
Got it.
I don't agree with any part of it. It's just the state that's imposing it. And, I mean, insurance companies can't settle stuff within 5 days. And they shouldn't have to pay an extra fee every time either. But the state says we have to do it. So if we have to do it,
So
and
then
it
your
says
beef
pass
is
the
with
charges
the
on.
state.
Ma'am?
Your beef is with the state.
No, I'm not the beef. I'm just saying don't put somebody in jail for charging a fee that the state says it is. Should we write separate receipts for the state fee? I just don't want it to be part of a tow that when it's not. It's part of the process that we're required by the state to do. So it really has nothing to do with the city. I just want the city to agree.
But he picks up a car 20 days into it, and there's some out-of-pocket expense. Is that
You know what I mean? It's a fee that we're incurred no matter whether that car is picked up, and we get $40 for that car or $100. Price of metal is $4 a hundred. Most of these cars are wrecked. There ain't no value to them.
Hold on, sir.
Yes, sir.
Seems to me this is what he's saying. If the city comes by and to look at his books, and he has a fee down there where he had to send some certified mail about a vehicle, this, although it's state related, but he had to send certified mail out and all, and it accrued a fee, and he's adding, he has that in there. He doesn't want y'all to close his shop down because it was a legitimate expense that he had to pay. And he just wants y'all to know that he's not claiming that it's a city, it's on the city, it's on the state. But whoever's on, he's having to pay it.
is no portal fee?
Yeah, but there's still no portal fee for us.
According to the attorney, there is no fee by the state for the portal.
Well, then
He's
the attorney's
talking
wrong.
about-
The attorney's wrong.
I know.
If you have a computer, we can pull state law up real quick. It's Department of Revenue, Title Division, abandoned titles, and then hit help. And that's going to print you out the exact law word for word. I just went over it with the state 2 weeks ago. I went over it with the city of Mobile impound, and we all came to the same agreement because that is what it says. They weren't aware of it either.
Madam Chairman.
We do agree that we're going to work on it more. A lot of things isn't explained at all, and it's a simple law. It's I don't know any other way to approach it, but I do know what the law is.
Madam Chairman, we've spent a lot of time on this. Why
Yeah,
don't you
no.
assign that to our attorney?
That, just look into it,
have him
and
look at
we
the
can look
state
at it
law.
at another date. I just
If
want to
they're-
bring it to your attention.
If they're out of some money, then they should not be beat up on if they charge folks to
Right,
get
but
their money back.
are they going through those criteria in order to take ownership of the vehicle?
Well, that's what ultimately happens if no one
So
claims it.
That's the bottom line, I think.
When we're going, the bottom line is we're forced to do it. The state says this is the law, and if you don't follow it, then you're not entitled to any storage or any other charges.
That,
Bottom line is most record companies does not, they don't do that themselves. They pay a company to do it. So from day one, we out that $150. Or if you do it yourself, it's gonna cost you about.
Will you share in the proceeds when, if the vehicle is then sold, when you get it to this company, or do they just,
We'll share in the losses that I incurred in most vehicles, we'll share in the profits. Because 9 times out of 10, if that car is wrecked, you don't get the price of scraps down. What we need is if we charge that fee, which like Jason Stewart, $150. If we charge that $150 on a call, we don't need y'all coming in there and saying, that's insurance fraud, we didn't approve this fee. We need that in the ordinance so we can charge that $150, not to y'all, to whoever comes and gets that car, whether it be insurance, consumer, whoever. We need to be able
but that would, you would get it twice then, because,
Madam President,
yeah.
what this ordinance is covering is costs and fees that are remitted back to the customer or the person that owns that vehicle when they come to pick it up. Since there is no portal fee, then why would you charge a customer a fee that you never paid the state? And I'll tell you, I've got the floor. So I guess all of the other fees that they incur, all the other expenses they may incur in order to get title for that vehicle and auction it, are recoverable by the law. And any excess goes to the county. But I do understand, because we run into it all the time at our impound, that, often the value of that car with 90 days of storage on it does not, you don't recover that at auction. So I do understand their point. I'm just saying that if C.J. Small went to pick up his car 5 days after it was towed, why would you bill him a fee that you never paid? And so that's why we objected to the portal fee. But the law is very clear on how they could get access to that car so it can be sold, so they can recover at least partial of their expenses for that tow.
Yeah, and people use an outside firm to do all the mailing and.
And those expenses are recoverable.
Right, yeah, that's just it, and that's like a private arrangement.
Hey, this gentleman's been wanting to say something, he can't.
I've been doing this since 1972. I'm the oldest resident here. Everybody in the state charges $150 admin fee for a vehicle, get rid of it. Even they charge it at the impound yard. They just write it up different under other fees. Look at some of their bill of sales, you'll see what we're talking about. They just write it in a different way than what we have to do. We have to pay Jason Stewart anywhere from $150 to $200. It don't matter if that car's junk and we don't get them the junk price. I've got $150 out in the field right now. I can't push it, I can't get an hour. But we've already had the process and everything to be able to keep the car. That's what we're trying to do, is just get our money back that we're putting out on this stuff. We're not gonna get paid for the tow. Evidently, we got the car, but we've got to process the car to be able to crush it, because the crusher won't come in and crush it without taking it.
I don't understand what that has to do with the ordinance.
Yeah.
We're talking about a customer picking up a car and what's reasonable fees that are on that bill, that he's billed. I don't know where you're getting that. You're talking about two different,
okay.
we're talking
That's
about
just-
two different things. I think I'm talking about a customer picking up a car or an insurance company paying a car tow and whatever the reasonable
Yeah.
fees would be there. And then the other one being their cost recovery on a car that's not picked up or not claimed.
That is not right. What we're trying to say is, if you come in there on the 8th day to pick it up, you're going to have to pay a $150 fee that the state put on it. Not us, because we had to spend the money. We had to pay Jason Stewart that $100. But it has to be done within 5 days. It's the state law. It's Alabama Department of Revenue law. And I don't know anybody. If you go to Alabama Department of Revenue, titles and then hit abandoned titles, and then hit help, and it will pull straight up and print for you.
I hear what you're saying, but I'm not so.
But you're not hearing it, because you keep saying,
Well, no, but you're saying the state's making you do this.
Yes.
So that's out of our hands.
okay, so it's out of your,
Right.
the administration fee would be not in the city's, no, it's not an issue for the city, it's a state issue. We're just trying to make sure no one goes to jail for doing what the state says do. That's all we want concerned with. It's nothing to do with the city of Mobile.
But you're saying you want it billed to the city of.
No, we're not billing nothing to the city. All we're doing is saying that if we have to charge it, it's because the state's making us do it. It ain't because we want to do it. We lose money by doing it.
What we're saying is if you come and pull one of my units, and I got $125 fee pay, and I got $150 admin fee, you ask me what is that admin fee, and I tell you, but this is what we're talking about. You wouldn't even apply for it. And then you turn around and look at me and say, that's fraud, that's not in this ordinance, you can't do that. Then later down the road, maybe a year from now, then we're in trouble.
But why would the city get into that information?
Because they do. Why did the city arrest all these people before?
I can't answer that.
We have to have a way to.
For, I mean, they arrested them for, they did all kinds of things to them, and they didn't do anything really. They did, some didn't. But, you know what I mean? We're just scared. We're gun shy. We don't know what to do. And that's all we want to do is some clarification.
Should
Chief,
we?
do you have anything?
Should we audit them and we saw something out of line, we would give them the opportunity to show us if those fees were authorized by the state or whether they were authorized by our city ordinance. And if they could prove that those fees were authorized through receipts, then we wouldn't charge them with fraud. They would have to be able to show that. The problem has been, historically, they have not been able to show through their records where those fees were authorized. And so subsequently, there have been individuals that have been charged and arrested because they didn't have the documents to support those things that they had charged for historically.
Madam
And
Chairman.
I'll go back with him too. There are a lot of companies that have charged these fees that have never put nothing in the portal. And that is wrong. That's stealing.
Well, okay.
Madam Chairman.
Yes.
I think we need to move on.
We do.
Can we just let our attorney look at this? They have cited a state reference where they can find out what the state is requiring them to do. I would also look at Huntsville, Montgomery, and Birmingham, see if they're charging that.
Yeah, we did all that initially.
I'm saying, but I'm saying if the state if it's a state requirement, it ought to be done across the board in every city. So let's see if they're charging $150 in these other cities, we need to move on with that and be done with that. We don't need to be done anything any different from.
No,
if the
I think
state
there
is-
was a lot of work that went into this initially by looking at cities around us and cities in the state
Right.
on how,
Yeah, it is a state
I
problem.
heard that.
Just like the chief just said, if they audit us, and they say that charge is not a right charge, it ain't in this ordinance, then we're done wrong. That's what we're trying to do, you try to understand, that is an expense to us. It needs to be in this ordinance that we can charge X amount of dollars, whatever y'all think it should be. That way, if he asks us, this is our proof, it's here, it's done. And if we charge 150 or 200, and the ordinance says 150, then we're violating.
Excuse me.
Okay.
Ms.
Chris,
Rich.
do you have something you want to add, or Carrie?
Ms. Rich, I would like to look, I will look back into this issue again. I did look into it after our last meeting. I'll refresh myself. I think the
Pull your
trigger
microphone closer.
is for the.
Move your microphone because of our masks, you have to move, yeah.
I think the trigger is when the vehicle becomes unclaimed, and that may be something we need to clarify. At what point, then that is when they have to start the process to submit the information to the state. Anyway, I think if we could hold this on pause, we'll get you some more information on this issue.
Okay, that's fair.
I would like to point out that we did address the use of record companies having multiple places of businesses and how often they can be on the rotation list. That was under section 33 of the ordinance, page 14. there were some comments early about that.
Yes.
And we tried to curtail that particular behavior to make sure it was fair. And that also ties back to having a place of business where you have a storage facilities. So I just wanted to reassure everyone that that has been addressed.
Thank you. I see that.
It's not necessarily about the storage facilities, but about how a place of business is defined.
Sure.
On that issue, it sounds to me like it's not even really the council's
I know.
That's right.
problem. But I wanted to point out one thing and then ask one question of hopefully somebody here from the industry knows what this is about. In the existing ordinance in Article 4, there was a hazardous materials
What page?
section. It's not on the new, it's on the one I sent you yesterday.
Oh, okay.
I'm just telling y'all, in the current ordinance, there was a hazardous materials section at the very end. And when we put the new ordinance together, we forgot to add it back in. So I have added it back in word for word like it was in the past. So nothing is changing in the law. And so that will, it's just, if you looked at what was on the city's website, it doesn't have that.
The last page, you
Right.
said. Okay.
Second issue, some tow truck company, and I don't know who it was, contacted a couple of city councilors and requested a fee to be added, something about wrapping, if the windows broke out, wrapping it in
Plastic wrap.
or something.
Yeah.
And, which is fine, we can add something like that in, but I would like an explanation from, hopefully one of the tow truck fellows. How does that work and what does it cost and that sort of thing? Any of y'all?
That wrap's like $100 a roll, sir.
How much gets used?
It usually takes maybe 15 to 20 feet to wrap a car securely. When windows are knocked out, so you're gonna blow trash all over the road when they're so tore up. You don't do it with every car, it's when it's really tore up, you have to wrap what they call crash wrap. And if you don't wrap that vehicle, then we're gonna get a ticket running in the streets.
How much money do you need for it?
Sir?
How much money do you need for it?
I would say if you got to crash wrap a car, it ought to be worth at least $30. By the time you figure the time to crash wrap a car, and you have to furnish a crash wrap.
I should put it in there. I wouldn't argue.
So
with
it
that.
should be,
I don't have any problem with putting it in there.
yeah.
I don't either.
We're fine. We're fine. I mean, if we got to, to prevent,
We try to, where there's an real expense that we can find, we try to
Yeah.
reimburse them for the expense. So, yeah.
Okay,
We
good.
just want it to be notated if they're gonna use it.
Right.
Yes, it has to be on the ticket.
Yeah,
So,
don't say miscellaneous and don't tell us what it's for.
Right.
Yeah.
The county had to do it.
yeah.
That was the other question. Could there be, and I don't know what the form looks like when you tow a car, okay? But can there be a box added, plastic wrap or whatever this stuff's called, from y'all's?
Crash wrap.
Okay, fair enough.
And you do it right on the scene.
Yes.
So people are watching it. Okay.
And
yeah.
tell me again the actual name of this stuff?
crash,
Crash wrap.
Yeah.
It's actually a thicker deal, and it's to keep glass inside the vehicle, not scattered on the road, or you don't have to hit somebody with a convertible or tire, to keep damage.
Yeah.
Just keep damage down, because insurance goes up every time damage.
Okay. That's the most recent and call that we got about looking at all the fees that you could charge for. Okay.
And the police department had just one other thing.
Sure.
On page 11, under 6326, monthly report, it says, upon written request, the department will furnish the record company with a monthly report of the department's rotation call-out list. We will just post on our website monthly, our call-out rotation, our monthly report. So no one will have to call and request it. It's just going to be on our website monthly.
Do we think we should write
Okay, so
something like
are you
that?
6326?
Yes, on page 11. It just says upon written request, they will not have to request it. We're just going to automatically put our monthly report on our website. So nobody has to call and try to request it.
Maybe we should put it in that it's on the
Okay, 'cause
department's
I had-
website.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
We'll change it.
Yeah.
We want to draft that and say that it will be posted on our website. the
And
monthly report.
updated every month.
Yes, updated.
Outstanding, 'cause
Okay, that's good.
the one I was gonna ask y'all to do, so this, y'all on it.
Yes, sir.
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
did we finish the discussion about the weekend charges if the facility closed on Saturday and Sunday?
We have not.
No,
Yeah.
we hadn't really.
So that really need to be discussed.
Yes, it does. We can listen to the police, we can listen to the legal on that.
Yeah.
Wait, could you hold on? Let's try to, and then we'll let you weigh in, okay?
Our consensus for the police department is that if you can't pick up your car on Saturday and Sunday, you shouldn't be charged storage. If that company says, I'm not open on Saturday and Sunday, you cannot get your vehicle, then we should not be charging, they should not be charging the customer storage for Saturday and Sunday. If the person says, I'm gonna come get my car on Saturday, and they say, no, you gotta wait till Monday, but you're keeping my vehicle, and I'm telling you, I'm available Saturday and Sunday. And most people are off on Saturdays or Sundays and could possibly get their vehicle. So that's just our position, that we would not want them to be charged storage. And I know some of the people in the industry says, well, we still have the vehicle there, so we should be able to charge or allowed to charge storage, but
But we say they only have to be open Monday through Friday too. We're not asking for 7
unless,
days out of the week.
unless they make a call and that company decides to come in and open up their lot.
There you go. You know,
But if the
we'll-
company says, I don't want to open up on Saturday, I'm not opening up on Sunday, then that customer should not be charged, because that customer has called and said, look, I'm available anytime Saturday, any day Sunday, and that company says, look, I'm not coming down there to open up my lot.
And we're not requiring that either.
That's right.
I mean,
We're
it's
not going to
two-way
require it.
street.
We leave that up to the industry. I mean, to that, you know,
Right.
if they want to
Okay.
do that.
Okay,
Madam
yes.
Chairman,
Sure.
they have already raised that issue. And they are also saying that whatever is required by the towing company, must be required by our own towing company. We can't charge either. We can't do nothing in our lot that they can't do in their lot. It's the same thing,
we're in agreement.
okay?
Now, we are open on the weekends.
Then if you are open on the weekends and it's accessible, then it's certainly reasonable to charge that fee. But what we're saying is, if it's impossible for somebody to pick up a vehicle on a weekend, then they should not be charged storage if they can't pick it up.
Ms. Ridge,
Yes.
I think we could say something like, instead of tying it to a certain day of the week, you know, for days not open, I mean, it could be Christmas Day on a Wednesday, you know, that they may not be open then.
Mm-hmm.
And you also have I think the first day is free anyway, so we can work something on that.
Okay.
Yeah, they should only be, you should only be, have to pay the per diem when the business is open and you can retrieve your car.
But we're only mandating the Monday through Friday
I know, but
as a
the-
requirement.
I know, but he's talking about changing that.
don't know
I
how you
think,
can
I think
monitor
Mr.
it.
Arledge is talking about changing that in some way so that, to cover the instance where it's a holiday and you can't get your car or something like that.
If they leave an emergency number where people can get them 24 hours,
No, we're not.
I'm saying if they post at their wrecking company an emergency number, where if you go by there to get your car on Sunday and they're closed, you can call this emergency company and say, I want my car, and they come and open up and give you your car. The car is being stored. Whether they pay for it or not, nobody gonna move the car on the weekend and bring it back. The car is stored there until they come and get it. So it's not whether or not they're charging the illegal fee. No, they're storing the car. The car's at the lot now. The issue is accessibility. Whether or not they can get the car, put an emergency number in front of it out there, so they can call you if they want to get the car when you close. Because you're not open at 12 o'clock at night either, but you're charging them. So if you put an emergency number out there, that you can put your cell phone number out there, call me at this number if you want to get the car beyond closing hours, and I think you would have done enough for that.
Well, Ms. Rich,
Yes.
I would, in response to Councilman Richardson, I understand what he's saying, but the key thing is the ability of someone to recover their automobile. And if there's going to be a number available for you to call to go get your vehicle on a Sunday or a Christmas day, then that number has to be readily available to the person whose car it is.
Well, if the police don't check their books, they can check their number too. Check the number. If it's not working, then it's not working.
No, I mean, you got to know what the number is. You got to know what the number is.
Post the number at the business, emergency number.
I think it does require that the number be posted
Yeah.
at the business.
That's all they can do.
And then, part of the issue as far as regulating the business practices is the federal law preempts a lot of what we could do if there was no federal law. So we can't really get carried away telling them, you got to be there 24/7, you know. It's just got to be enough of a reasonable amount to get the job done without, if they want to voluntarily open on the weekend or on, you know, Hanukkah, that's fine. But we just got to stick to the basics.
Right, and that was the minimum was Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Okay.
So I guess the question is, and excuse me if it's already been addressed, but Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. So whether it's a major holiday, Christmas and Memorial Day and Labor Day.
Right, that's why
We could write in
we're going
holidays.
to write in something about if they're not available, you can't be charging for the rent.
Well, I'm just saying, even in this, you said the times to be open, you know, that's also.
We can exclude major holidays.
Okay.
Those days would, yeah, national or whatever. Okay. I think we still have some tweaking to do, my sense. Yeah. But I think we are very close. We'll get it, the lawyers talking to each other, both sides, from council
Does
and,
anybody else have anything they want to say?
well, we could. Is there any other additional? I'm sorry. Okay. We can put it on the website again for review, and we'll move forward. I know that it's been a long time, so we're anxious, like I said, to get this on the books, because the first one was not as clear, or went back a number of years for fees and everything. So I thank everybody for working on it. If there's any closing anybody wants to make from police or...
I have a statement to make.
Okay, go.
Okay, you know, in the past, wrecking companies have complained about the police coming by, checking the books and confiscating their vehicles and their equipment and records. Could we say that the records will be checked annually? Can we put in the?
We have it in there. Yeah,
Yeah, we do annual inspections
Of the record?
of the records. Oh, records.
No, the RECORDS.
yes, we're supposed
They're files. The files.
records.
You are confiscated files. So I'm saying, instead of doing that, just if you want to go by and look at all of them's record once a year, go by and I think they have their records ready. You don't have to go and take them by the records. It's open for you to go and see.
I think
If
that's
some-
in there.
That's in the ordinance.
It is clear.
That's in the ordinance that they will be done annually in the month of
Okay.
January.
All right,
Right.
I know over in Baldwin County, they come by, they'll call you and say, hey, I'm coming out there on Thursday. They'll walk in and they'll pull up 10 of your invoices. And they'll sit down and ask you the charges. And they do that yearly with us up there.
Okay. Sounds like.
all right. You already got that covered.
Well, I'll entertain a motion unless there's any other closing or information still required. But I think we made notes, hopefully, and we'll look at all these changes and tweakings. We appreciate you being here, and we thank you for your service as working with the police, and we hope it's a good relationship at the end of the day, as best as possible, and our ordinance hopefully will help clear that pathway. Entertain a closer to the committee. All right, and we'll end the meeting. Thank you very much for your time. We get it.
I'm reading this wrong, but I think they're under the
Thank you.
every time they tow a car, it's considered to be abandoned and they're required.
No,
I don't think that's.
no, it's too small. I mean, what we're doing, it's very minor.
Says in here, once the person in
Yes,
possession of the car.
okay, we can have, and they can come down and address us at
Yes,
the
the
council
process
meeting.
kicks in.
Yeah, so like if I